lane, so a great band to come out. Bard as well, respect to the supports around the board. And this is going to be even harder because that Alistar, that Bard, the Soraka is everything LMS has been using to initiate so far.
I like this change from CLG, saying, well, Darshan would just give you the favorable matchup. We saw what it did to Flash Wolves last game. The pacing was entirely started every time from the top lane. Darshan would push in, move to mid, pressure would be given there. Then they could split up. He was the key component in that 1-3-1 as well. And MMD showed that if he plays the worst matchup, Echo into Poppy, he was suffering.
Yeah, and there's another thing that Darshan can do with this Echo, right? We always talk about how, the winning matchup versus Poppy, he can get his CS lead, they can utilize him to pressure side lanes on the map, set up these TP plays, set up vision control for themselves. However, the Echo team fighting, one thing that people have criticized it for, versus things like the Poppy's a little bit more, stable, a little bit more reliable. However, he does such a good job of entering the team fight, and doing this poking and prodding. And it's a lot about keeping in mind the zone controls that your enemies have and landing those stuns, re-engaging with the Echo, flashing in for these multi-man parallel convergence stuns. But I do like the answer here from Flash Wolves, stealing away two very highly prized CLG picks.
Yeah, Echo brings a lot of chaos to these fights, and CLG seem to thrive in chaos. They switch targets very well. They're always aware of what each and other member is doing. But the reaction here from Flash Wolves is on point. Not only do they take away who is preferred champion, that he can now maybe answer with the Azir, they also steal the strongest jungler, in my opinion, unless CLG want to go for a high-pressure style with Nidalee, but that doesn't seem to be their cup of tea.
Well, it also spells out what everybody wants to see from LMS, is that composition where they're going to go in. They can do that with the Kindred ult. They can get more risky. We'll see if they can still put together a synergizing comp that will somewhat crush CLG. That's what they want to do. They cannot sit back at all. Going to be tough. That Graves that was banned is now picked up by Xmithy this second time around, and who he gets Azir.
And in the gauntlet is thrown. Who is saying, well, I won the matchup Ryze versus Azir. I'm just going to play with Azir versus Ryze. If Hui now gets a CS advantage and manages to push in again, it just shows that he's showing up better in this series than Maple.
Yeah, and I really, again, want to reiterate the junglers in this matchup of the Azir Ryze are very important. So we'll keep track of those during the game.
I'll keep track of the supports.
Yes. Riv, you keep track of the entire game.
Got it. Done. What will be the lock-ins for LMS? Seeing that Graves, seeing that Azir gives CounterLogic Gaming another chance to kind of just spread LMS thin, go for lane pushes once again. How will they answer Poppy Ezreal?
Yeah, no real surprises here. They've shown the willingness that MMD is this role player. He's the tank. He was going to be the one, putting all of his money into building tank. He's going to be the front line, and NL has shown such a huge preference for this Ezreal and getting any sort of pick for them to keep him safe. I think that this is going to be another game. I talked about AD carry uptime before. I think it's going to be more important in this game than it was in the first game, since CLG are going more of this team fight based Azir hovering Tristana comp.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard for NL to pick champions here. Lucian's out. He likes Kalista, but actually has some rough matchups in some of the champions that Stixxay plays, especially if he has to pick his AD carry early, Stixxay having the counter pick here. In addition, if you go Sivir, it has even more weaker matchups, so the counter pick AD carry actually weighs in a lot here. And Stixxay and Aphromo looking to take advantage of that. I like this pivot to Janna Caitlyn. It's actually
the siege,
pretty,
North American siege, baby.
Pretty good into Ezreal. If you whittle him down in the turret, worst case, you will always be the first one to move. And if you look at some of these low wave clear champions that Flash Wolves have drafted together, it will allow CLG to take control of the map. And just as Kobe just yelled out, siege, 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 baby, that's the goal of the game.
We get the Karma coming in for Sword Art. He can somewhat answer for the team now in initiation, but it's got to be a good all-in, because then you're left in the fight with nothing potentially. One here for CounterLogic Gaming as we move into the second game of the semifinals. A lot of people thought it would be 3-1. When's that going to be the point for LMS to pick the win up? It is going to be the double TP comp coming from them this time.
Yeah, and two key ultimates that can play very well into the Lamb's Respite. Both the Janna ultimate as well as the Azir soldiers pushing you out, not making you survive as long as you would like to.
And I think this, yeah, like I said, this is going to be a game to really illustrate the team focus of CLG and how everyone's going to do their part to keep Stixxay on 100% uptime.
Well, we know what LMS says about that. It's we. That was one thing that shined through in that video of the Flash Wolves are always behind us. It's not our management. It's not this person. It's we. And that mentality, if they can tap into that, the Flash Wolves can become a very strong team here at MSI once again.
Yeah, and it's actually fun to see that teams have switched positions in terms of what their compositions want to do. Last game, Flash was very much so playing a 4-1 composition with a losing top laner though in the Poppy.
Right.
So their main focus, the only way to really get out of that chokehold was to siege mid as 4. That's actually what CLG want to do right now. They're playing a 4-1 or maybe a 1-1-3 with the Caitlyn Janna on the side lane. And LMS here playing a clear 1-3-1. TP's on the side lane's flank and hard engage is what they want to do. Let's see if the teams understand their win conditions and can play towards them. I think CLG does, Flash Wolves won't.
Everybody wants to see the Flash Wolves come out strong. I'm sure they want to see it as well. It's been troublesome if they can't get the early game lead, and that's but one thing CLG has been very good at, is leads at 10 and 20. So it's only going to get harder for LMS here in this semifinal.